What's up, everybody? This is Zach, and we're at Pensacon, and I'm joined along with
Eugene Simon.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, very well. I've had a great day. I'm sad that it's coming to an end, actually. I've had so many people come up and say hi, and it's been great. I've had all these crazy photos put in front of me. It's been a ball.
Pensacon treating you well, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it is really well. This is my first actual convention in the US.
Really?
Yeah, it is. So it's, I guess you could say, a big deal for me. So it's a lot of fun. People have been really, really gracious and said good things about the show and awful things about my character, and it's been good.
Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying it, and no better place than be at Pensacon, first US show.
Exactly.
Have you been able to go around the city and get some good food?
We've actually been here for most of the time because we've been wanting to make sure we get the most number of hours in before people start heading home. So I haven't actually had enough time to see a lot of Pensacon, but I caught my first glimmer of the white sands of the beach today, and that was my one bit of solace that I managed to see that.
One of the most beautiful beaches that we have here.
I'm sure it is. I have yet to see it, but I wish I could.
So let's get into it. Game of Thrones. How was that for you? How was getting that role for you?
This whole experience has been wonderful. When I first got the role, I started to read the book straight away. I thought it was a good idea to kind of research and kind of understand a little bit more where he goes. And when I picked up the third or fourth book and discovered that he had this, really, really rather terrifying, dramatic transition to becoming a religious fanatic, I couldn't believe it. I was very glad that I read them in order to understand quite how huge and how kind of destructive that whole progression would have been for him, and it was very helpful for me.
And because at the very beginning you were just kind of a smaller character,
yeah,
and then you became a very religious zealot.
Yes, absolutely.
You kind of changed the face of the power structure.
Yeah. I mean, he's one of these. He's a character who, for perfect reasons within the show, you don't pay much mind to for the first two seasons. He doesn't give himself that much importance. He's deliberately demeaned and deplored by other members of his family. And it was really lovely to come back to season 5 and, to be honest with you, be aware that people were sort of not really thinking that he would ever make a comeback.
Yeah.
He would ever return in any capacity. And then to have him return as this kind of this ghost of Christmas past, this kind of reborn nightmare was really, really wonderful. A wonderful chance for me to, a wonderful opportunity for me to do something. It was great.
Now, I know you can't give any spoilers away, so I'm not even going to ask, okay?
Okay.
How did you get into that character of a religious zealot? Like, what was the thought process? Because looking at the process of the changing of that, it was almost like the Catholic Church back in the day of how they would persecute people.
Right. No, there is. There's a great deal of kind of inquisitorial culture to it, and I don't think that's wasted on many people. You do see that kind of sticking through into the show. To get into the character, I think that one of the things just that personally helped me was the fact that I had to sort of figure out with Lancel where the balance lay, emotionally speaking, between guilt and shame. Which are similar but two slightly different. To be ashamed of yourself is not the same thing as to be guilty in my mind, because shame is so much more can be so much more shriveling and destructive. Guilt you can sort of you have time to get over with, but shame is so much more has so much more power over you. And I think that to get into this character, to understand how he was able to turn into this sort of figure, you really had to I had to start imagining and really taking my place to a very dark place where shame can really start to change you and devolve you. And that was really the most helpful emotional element. What shame can do to really make you turn into someone you don't want to be.
Now, compared to House of Anubis, how was that different? The process of filming and all of that compared to Game of Thrones?
Well, I mean, when I was doing those two shows back to back, I was lucky enough to be in Liverpool and Belfast, and they're right next to each. I mean, they're very close to each other. So I would, on some occasions, I would wake up in the morning and I would film House of Anubis. I would play Jerome in my prepping boarding school outfit, and then I'd hop on a flight, and in the evening we would do evening shoots for Game of Thrones. So it was, it was quick back to back turning around. And it was a blast. It was an adrenaline rush, if anything. I was very kind of aware of how kind of on point I had to be. When weekends were very often not that weekendish. I had to kind of prepare, So it was a blast, really. I look back on it with a real sense of kind of honor, but also excitement and real luck and privilege and pride, a lot of pride.
I can't wait for the next season of Game of Thrones. But is there anything else that you're doing that you want people to see? Anything you want to plug right now?
Well, I know I've plugged my film a fair few times, which came out just at the end of last year, which is called Eden, and it's out on Netflix at the moment if you want to go and watch it. And I play a US soccer player in that. That came out, I think, in about the end of October, maybe beginning of November. And but that's just been done, and now I am basically someone who is exploring the horizons for new work, and maybe hopping back for another season of Game of Thrones. Who knows?
Awesome. Well, definitely have to check out Eden. And I have to ask, what did you think of Star Wars: The Force Awakens?
Guys, I'm going to break your hearts. I'm going to look at you in the eye when I break your hearts. I haven't seen it yet. I know. Everyone around you has just left. No one's listening to this conversation anymore, and I'm sorry. I haven't seen it yet, but it's definitely got to be done.
Awesome. Well, what is your social media so everyone can find you?
I thought you were about to ask me what my social security number was. I don't know why. I was just like,
that
okay,
too.
I'll give that to you. Here we go. My social media is on Twitter, it's Eugene_Simon, and on Instagram, it's just Eugene Snaps. And you can find me on Facebook with Eugene Simon, plain and simple.
All right, there you go, guys. This has been Zach with Pensacon, and have a week.